Hey guys, what's up? GreenMachineSam back with another video, and today we have another Bears React video, and today, of course, we're going to be talking about the beatdown the Saints put on us. I know it wasn't that bad in terms of score, but it didn't ever really feel close. It was one of those games where it just felt like we never had a chance. Well, not never. I guess after the second half, it never seemed like we had a chance. Of course, the Bears folded again, and we're one of the worst teams in the league. I think we're third or fourth right now. It just depends on how the Giants play out the rest of the season. Of course, with everything being said, we could end up with the number 3 or the number 4 pick. I don't think we'll drop outside the top 5. I think this team is too terrible. This coaching staff is too terrible to drop outside the top 5. It's just not going to be possible. I think enough of the teams are at least willing to fight and compete compared to us. So let's get into some things. Now, of course, like last week, I do have some notes and points that I want to go over, and we'll go down the list as we go. First up is Tyson Bagent. It's not all his fault. Look, I was never one of those guys that was like, oh, Tyson Bagent's going to be the future. He's going to be the next Tom Brady. He's going to blah. No, I wasn't. I thought Tyson Bagent looked fine in the first game. I thought he looked confident, which is always key as a quarterback. I think you need confidence, and I need you to understand certain things. Most of the things weren't his fault completely against the Saints, but there was definitely some things that he could have done better. There were some times where he seemed like he wanted to try to force the ball down the field or force the ball into a tight window when he had shown earlier in the game that he could run. And I think that's something he should have relied on a little bit more. I understand he doesn't want to get injured, but sometimes you just got to go for it. And like I said, all the picks aren't his fault, of course. I think 2 out of the 4 were probably his fault more than anything. But that's neither here nor there. And look, that doesn't all fall on him, too. The play calling definitely wasn't there. And this brings me into my next point, which is this coaching staff just gets scared shitless when anything bad happens. A big play happens, a pick happens, a fumble happens. They just go completely conservative. They're like, oh no. This coaching staff gets so fucking scared so easily. Anytime they get off schedule, anytime something bad happens, they immediately shut down and go into this conservative look. They do not know how to adjust to problems. They do not. There's a pick. Oh, okay, we're going to be conservative. We're going to check down. We're going to run the ball, 3 straight times if we have to. All this and that. It's just weird. It really is fucking weird how much they just shut down when stuff goes haywire. Which brings me into my next point is this coaching staff makes no sense. If you guys haven't try to listen to Eberflus or Getsy talk, holy fuck, trying to listen to them and understand what they're trying to convey to the reporters and to the people watching makes your head hurt. It really does. A very good point in this is Justin Fields' injury. So coming into tonight's game against the Panthers on Thursday Night Football, they had Justin Fields listed as doubtful, but then they ruled him out yesterday after practice. They had him listed as doubtful the whole week, and then they just auto-ruled him out a day before the game. They don't even want to think about it. And, I understand it, and there's been reports that they could hold on to Eberflus for another year, which if they do, I don't think Bears fans should go to games next year. I really don't. I think everybody should skip. I think everybody should just be like, nope, not going. Not going to deal with this. That's just me personally. At least that's how I would handle the situation. But, of course, there's going to be Bears fans that want to go or that will go because it's cheaper or whatever. This coaching staff just fucking babbles and rambles about stupid, pointless shit. I don't know if it was a real quote or not, but apparently there was a quote where he was like, hey, we just need everything to go perfectly our way, and everything's went perfectly our way for 2 games, and we've won those 2 games. Motherfucker, not everything goes perfectly. You think the Eagles are perfect every single week? Their offense has struggled. You think the Chiefs are perfect every single week? They have struggled. You have to understand when to win dirty and when you are going to just play a clean game. And holy fuck, if we don't start playing clean games in terms of penalties, I'm going to lose my mind. I would seriously think we're probably one of the top 3 penalized teams within the last 3 to 4 weeks. I genuinely think that. I don't think anybody's more penalized than us. We are getting penalized out the ass, and those need to be cleaned up. This coaching staff is abysmal. None of them should have jobs next year. I really think that. And I saw somebody say, "Oh, I feel I'm starting to kind of feel bad for Eberflus because he's kind of sort of panicking." I forget who said it on Bears Twitter, but he was like, "I kind of feel bad for him. He's panicking. Not everybody gets a chance to be a head coach, and
Maybe he just wasn't in the right system, especially, looking at his coaching career before the Bears as a great defensive coordinator. Dude, I don't think his defense was ever top 10 with guys like Kwity Paye, DeForest Buckner, and Grover Stewart, and Shaq Leonard, and Kenny Moore, and, they had decent safeties on the back end. They didn't have terrible corners. They never had, like, a terrible unit, but was never a top 10 defensive unit, I feel like. He was never a great coordinator, if I remember seeing correctly. I don't know where this notion that he was a good defensive coordinator is coming from. I really don't. I will say I am wrong about TJ Edwards. TJ Edwards has balled out of his mind. Apparently, he already has like 100 tackles on the season or something like that, going into week 9 or something close to it. Like it's like 80 or 90 tackles. So he's doing really well. Apparently, he's listed pretty well in PFF so far this year. So good job to him. I'm wrong on that contract so far, which I'll more than happily be wrong. And this is something that I haven't said in a while, and other Bears fans need to understand. I will never actively root against a player, but I will tell you how I feel about that player, right? If I don't think that player is good, I'm going to tell you. But I'm never going to be like, this player sucks, I want him to fucking blow ass. I'll never be like that, okay? Now, if he's blown ass, Velus Jones, I will say he sucks ass, but I'm not going to actively root against you. Now, I might say you should probably get cut, Velus Jones, but I will never actively root against a player, okay? I would rather be wrong than right, whether it's a player on a different team as well. Like, I really liked Jordan Love, and just because he was on the Green Bay Packers never meant I was going to root against him and hope that his career failed. Just wasn't going to happen. And that's something I'm going to bring up because somebody did try to say, what, you root against these players? No, I don't root against any player, okay? They're doing something that I wish I could be doing right now. I'm not going to actively root against them. If they are bad in my mind, I'm going to say that I think they are bad. Simple as that. Another point is Jenkins should probably stay at right guard, and here's the reasoning. In my personal opinion, I think we should leave him at right guard and solidify that right side with Darnell Wright. I understand with Nate Davis being paid, that would probably cause some issues right there. But if there's a way to get out of the Nate Davis contract, I never thought it was a great signing either. I think we redo it. Realistically, next year, you go in, you probably take a left tackle, and you take a center going into next year. Now, if you really want to move Jenkins back to the left side and you think Nate Davis is going to be that guy on that right side next to Darnell Wright, and if you think you're a center and a tackle away from having a good offensive line, then go ahead, move Jenkins back to the left side. But I would personally like to see Jenkins stay at that right guard position and see if Nate Davis could transfer over to left guard and him and Cody Whitehair could split time. I would like to see Kramer, like I've said before, maybe get some play time, Ja'Tyre Carter. I would like to see Dan Feeney, if he's even still around, apparently. I don't think we've ever heard of him since the trade. I know I've seen a couple things where he was dealing with an injury issue for 2 weeks, but it just doesn't seem like they want it. Doesn't seem like Eberflus wants to use them, and there was some sort of miscommunication between Poles and Eberflus, which is very, very unfortunate. Cole Kmet looks amazing, as always. He proved in the Saints game to be able to make pretty good catches. He's fucking huge, if you didn't know. He's 6'6", 265, 260, something like that. He's fucking massive. He plays really well. He only has to play like a top 11 tight end in the league, and his contract will be worth it because he's paid as the 11th tight end in the league. And I think he's proven his contract's worth. I definitely think he has played particularly good, and he continues to play well. Somebody even put up the stats again from TJ Hockenson to Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet's on a better touchdown pace, on the exact same yards pace, on less catches. So, and somebody was talking, saying, that they had said that Cole Kmet was a better tight end, if not as good as TJ Hockenson going into the season, and people were saying no, but Cole Kmet has looked very good. He is sneakily getting a lot of targets. Apparently him and DJ Moore are on pace to have their best seasons ever, and we're only at week 9, and they're not that far off from having their best seasons in both their young careers. Darnell Mooney's a weapon, and we just need to get him more involved. I hate that the fact that we see Velus Jones and we're like, oh, he's a speed guy, he's a specialist, we can use him as a gadget player, but we don't see Darnell Mooney as that. He's fast. Tyler Scott's fast. Why aren't we using either one of them as, the gadget guys? I think Darnell Mooney should be the gadget guy. I genuinely think that. I'm still in the camp that thinks he should get paid. Now, is it maybe a 1 or 2 year deal saying, hey, go out there and prove it? Yeah, sure. Because I think if we don't pay him, somebody else will. Somebody will unlock his potential. Hell, I think if he went down to Kansas City next year, if Kansas City had a little bit of money and wanted to throw it his way, I think they could easily turn him into a good wide receiver. Not a bona fide number one, maybe not a top end number two, but a good number two could really be in his wheelhouse. The one thing I will say that I absolutely want to end off on before we get into the Panthers game and stuff is there was a lot more hustle on defense this week. Jack Sanborn was flying around. TJ Edwards was flying around. Eddie Jackson even got involved in a couple key tackles there. Montez Sweat setting a different pace. Even though I don't love the contract or the trade, he was showing some hustle out there. And this defensive line is looking pretty good. The one thing I will say is if you plan on not keeping some of these guys, if you plan on not keeping Justin Jones, if you plan on not keeping Jalen Johnson, get these young guys out there. There's no reason to run Jalen Johnson out there if you're not going to plan on paying him. There's just no reason to, in my opinion. If you're not going to pay somebody, play the young guys. Play the guys that you have on contract. But I did like seeing the hustle out of the defense. I hope they keep Jalen Johnson. I hope they keep Sanborn. I hope they keep Darnell Mooney, but time will tell with Eberflus and Poles. And then the last point that I want to end off on is I'm hoping we beat the living shit out of the Panthers on Thursday Night Football. Beat them and make their morales go down the fucking drain, because then guess what? We will slowly secure the number 1 overall pick. And with Kyler Murray coming back to the Cardinals, that could improve our chances of getting the number 1 overall pick. Now, the big thing that I'm also looking at is the New York Giants. They have lost Daniel Jones for the year. I don't know how long Tyrod Taylor is going to be out, if they're going to look towards a veteran quarterback. Maybe a Matt Ryan. Carson Wentz just got picked up, so I'd assume not him. But maybe they look towards a veteran quarterback that's in free agency, because they're currently starting Tommy DeVito, and they also have Matt Barkley. So, they could easily fall into that number 2 or 3 spot in the NFL draft if they continue to play bad, which I think they will be. They're facing a lot of injuries. Their offensive line's still not healthy. You're missing your 2 quarterbacks right now. I know Saquon was dealing with something last game, or at least it looked like it. I don't think that Giants team is any good, and they could easily start competing for that number 2 or number 3 pick in the draft. We do need the Cardinals to. So if you're a Bears fan, you should be rooting for the Giants. You should be rooting for the Cardinals every single week, hoping that they win games, because the more games they win, the more likely we are to have a higher pick, of course. Now, of course, I want to root for the Bears. Trust me, I want to win games. It's shitty not winning games. But at the same time, if we lose games, and if we're looking competitive, then I'm more happy to lose games and be like, okay, cool, we're going to have, possibly the 1 and the 2, the 1 and the 4, the 1 and the 3, the 1 and the 5, whatever. I genuinely think that wouldn't be too bad. Hell, if we get the number 1 pick, and if the Giants are 3, I could genuinely see us trading back to either 2 or 3. Trading back to 3, being like, hey, we'll have the 3-5, the Giants next first, and the first after that, they can go take Caleb Williams. The Cardinals can take, whoever they want, which I think would probably be Marvin Harrison at that point, but whatever. So yeah, you should be rooting for the Giants. You should be rooting for the Cardinals to win games, and hopefully we can go in, beat the Panthers, which will push us back a little bit, probably push us back to about the fifth pick, but that's better than losing out on the number 1, in my opinion. With that being said, guys, if you guys enjoy the content or any of the content here on my channel, I'd appreciate it if you guys stick around and subscribe. I'll be back with more videos like this. I know content has kind of been slow on the channel. I'm hoping to get a shit ton, and I mean an absolute metric ton of stuff out over the next week. I'm hoping to do almost like 7 straight days of Tennessee Titans franchise. I do have some big plans for that, hopefully as well for the off season. But with that being said, guys, like I said, if you guys enjoy this content, please stick around and subscribe. Hit that like button. I'll be back with more videos like this. I'm out. Peace.